Nothing says it's the holiday season quite like, of course, a Christmas tree, but more and more families are turning away from living trees like that, the kind with needles, sap and all that. Over 3/4 of Americans are setting up an artificial tree this year. Instead, that is according to an industry promotion group. Our next guest is a big part of that trend. Matt Harman is the CEO and founder of Balsam, which makes and sells high-end artificial Christmas tree. Matt, welcome to the show. So 77%, it seems, according to this poll, of Americans choosing artificial trees. Why? What is the upside here?
Well, I think the reason that you see more people choosing artificial trees is that it's just more convenient. It allows people to focus on decorating the tree instead of setting up the tree. And that's first because they're pre-lit. You don't have to spend all that time wrapping the tree in lights. And then secondly, you don't have to deal with the needles falling off, the tree drying out. It also lets you keep the tree in your home longer. So people are starting to set trees up earlier. In the US, people are setting up Thanksgiving weekend and leaving it up past New Year's. And that's a little bit too long to keep a farm-grown tree in your house just from a fire safety risk.
My concern was always, aren't they kind of made of plastic? I'm not sure if yours are. I was kind of worried about the environment to start off with. What is your response to that?
So on the environmental side, what studies have shown is that if you use an artificial tree for at least 5 years, it ends up having a little bit lower environmental impact than a farm-grown tree. That's taking into account everything from the oil used on the chainsaws and the pesticides, all the way through the transport, how the trees are disposed. That being said, at the end of the day, I think consumers should choose whichever tree is better for them, whether it's an artificial tree or a real tree. The beautiful thing is having that tree in your home for the holidays.
Talk to us about the demand that you have seen. Is this a new trend that you're seeing that's reflecting, of course, this poll?
No, actually, we've seen artificial trees have been in about in about 2/3 of American homes ever since about 10 years ago. And so we've seen those numbers in the 70s, in the 80s range. And what you see is you see more and more people setting up multiple trees. You actually get consumers who set up both kinds of trees. They might have a farm-grown tree in their family room for part of the year, and then for a longer period of time, they put a more formal tree perhaps in their living room. So you see both types. Artificial trees have been growing in popularity maybe 5% a year, something like that, but demand for farm-grown trees has remained strong as well.
2 trees, my goodness, that's a lot of work. Look, I'm not going to lie, Mac. I love a real Christmas tree. I love the smell of a fresh Fraser fir. And it does involve, as our correspondent Mag Egan was saying, a lot of hoovering. But my feeling for a real tree is that it's quite romantic. But I can see behind you, the tree behind you looks very real.
Yeah, so Balsam, the company I started, focuses on mimicking nature and bringing farm-grown trees into your home as artificial trees that look exactly like they would if you went out and cut them down on a Christmas tree farm. So we focus on all the different popular species around the US, in Europe, and we mimic those, and that gives people the option to have an artificial tree with a convenience that looks just like a real tree. We don't have the scent. We do have other options to provide the scent. But we make them look as real as possible, and that lets people keep them up for longer.
What are the other options for the scent?
So in terms of scent, there's lots of things people do. We sell a little machine that's an oil diffuser. So it actually takes the oil from a real tree and diffuses it. It's not a water-based diffuser. You can get those as well. The advantage of an oil-based diffuser is that it can go for longer without needing to be refilled.
I like that. I like that indeed. Let's talk price for all our viewers who may be watching this. My Christmas tree here cost me about, what, $80 or so. What's the price range we're looking at?
So for a farm-grown tree in the U.S., that is about the national average. In New York, you can pay upwards of $300-400. In Manhattan, that's like its own little market. And if you cut a tree down, it might be cheaper. It just depends. You can even go out in the national forest with a $5 permit and cut down a tree. On the artificial side, you see trees starting at $100, even $50. Those are pretty lousy trees, to be honest. We at Balsam sell our trees more in the $400 up over $1,000 range. And that's an investment. It works out over time. We expect consumers keep our trees for 10 or more years. And so it works out to be a pretty affordable option. You just need to make that upfront investment. And of course, our trees also come with the lights on them as well, often over 1,000 lights, which adds up. So it ends up being a great investment if you're willing to make it.
Slightly more premium, but if you're willing to pay for that, it's only once a year. Appreciate it. Mac, always great to see you. Mac Harman there.
You too.